Oh my gosh, dude. I remember seeing that.
This is and was my 100% favorite shot of all time I've ever gotten.
This is James Farrell. James Farrell is a wave cinematographer specialist, photographer, filmmaker, friend, and overall stoked dude who loves everything ocean. He spends most of his time exploring Southern California, searching for the coolest and most unique waves and aesthetically pleasing spots to capture through his camera lens. His work has been featured on both Surfline and The Inertia, popular surf publications to the layman. And he also runs a surf footage-based TikTok account called Surf Talk, with videos that have reached over 2 million views. Throughout our conversation, James talks about how he progressed from taking photos with his GoPro and 3-foot surf at his local surf break.
I think I actually took a video and then I screenshotted the video.
Classic.
And posted it as a photo.
All the way to filming 12-foot waves in Tahiti, while also explaining
what you're thinking about, where you're placing yourself, and why.
To get the best shot possible. Please welcome James Farrell.
We're gonna have James here show us how to freaking get some clips.
Yeah, we're gonna hopefully get a couple. We got a nice sunrise, you know. Not the biggest, but there's waves, so we'll take it.
We're podcasting in the ocean, so no complaints. How'd you get into water photography and like wave photography? Initially,
what got me into wave photography was actually the GoPro. I got a GoPro on Christmas from my grandma. And
shout out to grandma.
Shout out to grandma for starting my career.
Describe it for the listeners out there.
For everyone listening, this is in Laguna Beach, taken with my GoPro. This was before I had my housing or any of that. I think I actually took a video and then I screenshotted the video.
Classic.
And posted it as a photo. But this was in 2017. That's when I first started getting into photos more. And yeah, I just thought it was really cool because it was like almost a barrel and it was really glossy. But now I definitely would not have posted that wave.
And why would you not have posted that wave?
Now that I become like a better photographer, I've like had more of an eye. I think I've progressed. It just, I mean, it's a cool wave, but to the naked eye, it's not really anything super special.
Okay.
It's just like a regular wave, not that big of a barrel, but yeah. At the time, I was stoked though.
Stoked on it.
Yeah.
So what are like things that you say that you thought then, but now that you looking back, what were like the mistakes you made or like the things that were lacking that could have like improved the photo?
Definitely the size of the wave. Obviously this wave's like 1 foot. And definitely the conditions. It was pretty gloomy. Usually for photos, like you want some sort of color. The gloom, it can be cool at times, but it gets pretty old. You know, when you're looking at waves, you want that like vibrant blue or like a sunset or something cool to the eye. But this kind of didn't really have any of that. And also the lip is just like not really fully barreling. But yeah, it was good back then. I was stoked on it.
A good start, if you will.
A good start, yeah. A good start. Here we go. Here's a wave. That one was clean. From there on, I kind of just like kept chasing that feeling of, you know, being in the zone, being in the barrel. I wanted to get those shots like Clark Little and everyone that was in the barrel.
And were you focusing on shooting waves or surfers more, would you say?
Just waves in general. Because I had just started into like the whole surf photography thing. So I hadn't even like gone to Wedge or any of that where like surfers actually go, you know?
Yeah.
I slowly just moved my way down to Wedge. Obviously growing up here, you know, you always hear, oh, the Wedge, like the most dangerous wave in the world and stuff. And so first session at Wedge, it was like 3 foot and I was like scared out of my mind.
Yeah.
I was like, am I gonna die?
So that progression, you said moving down the beach?
Yeah.
So when you were younger, like if you were to talk to a little kid right now, who like maybe like watching your stuff and they see how big a waves you swim in, and you just talk about how you like maybe steps for progression that someone could kind of follow to like work their way up.
You definitely want to work your way up. You don't want to like just start and go like straight to pipeline, you know. You want to start out at a spot that's small, mellow, like a few feet, just to get your bearings, you know.
Yeah.
Which for me, that was like 40th, any like little beach break you would probably have. And then after that, you know, you can just keep moving your way up. If you only are going to like a spot that's like big, like say the Wedge, then maybe go out on a smaller day. And just know your limits, because the ocean can just like turn on you in a second. Like you'll be chilling, and then you look in front of you and there's like a big set, and you're like, oh, like an eye in over my head. Or,
Yeah. How do you kind of learn the lineup of how things work?
yeah. So
Because that's a pretty crucial part
it is.
of figuring out photography. Is not just shooting, but it's also the community and making sure that you're respecting the spot and the people that are there.
Right. Yeah. So definitely respect is a huge thing at Wedge. For photographers and for surfers, but mainly for photographers, we have like a really tight knit group here at Wedge. Like I can go any morning and I'll be like, oh, that's so and so. But generally the rules are kind of the more experienced people that have been here for longer. They have more of a right of way to sitting further in front, because in photography you don't want people blocking your shot, or like random photographers like in front of you, so you're only wanting that shot of the surfer or the empty wave. So as a photographer, like my ideal conditions are like good waves obviously, but no other photographers, because I want that moment to be just a surfer and the wave, or just a wave.
When did you come to Wedge for the first time, and can you describe Wedge to people who may not know what it is?
Well, first let's get this wave right here. You don't know what the Wedge is. It's a wave all the way at the end of this peninsula in Newport Beach. There's this long jetty right here, and what happens is the south swells come in and they bank off this jetty over here.
What's a jetty?
A jetty. Jetty's like a long construction of rocks. And what happens is these south swells come and they bank off the jetty in this straight direction. They bank off the jetty, and it creates two waves, because one's coming from the jetty. Oh, let's film this. Oh! That was a slap.
That was nuts.
That was a good one.
Also, to people who are listening, we're kind of mitigating getting barreled on top of filming, so forgive us if we sound.
It's a hard dynamic.
It's a hard dynamic to podcast and get barreled, but it's kind of sick, so.
And basically the wave comes and hits the jetty, and when it does this, it creates a secondary wave, because it banks off, and that secondary wave collides with the next one, creating this peak, like the wedge, what they call it.
The peak is like a wave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's all sand on the bottom. And what happens is when it peaks up, it's really, really shallow, which is why the wedge is so dangerous, which is why so many people break their necks, their backs.
People get hurt a lot.
They get hurt.
It's all fun and games until people are breaking their necks and backs.
Yeah, I've seen people on like 2-foot days get hurt. Days also, but you can't really mess around here, because even when it's small,
Even like this small.
Yeah, it's so shallow. If you get sucked over and you land wrong, you could hurt yourself. But yeah, that's basically the wedge.
Can you talk about your progression building up through Wedge, and then I want to obviously dive deeper into like how you gotten destroyed at Wedge. What do you think about when you're swimming out on certain days, like all
For
that
sure.
kind of stuff?
Yeah, so
3 years ago.
My
Not
first
that
day
long
at
ago.
Wedge, it was 2016. I went and it was like a 3 to 4 foot day, nothing crazy. But I was really scared, because I'd always heard, you know, the Wedge is like one of the most dangerous waves in the world. And so I went out, no one else was shooting, I just had my GoPro. And I was like kind of nervous to sit closer to the peak because I didn't want to, get pummeled by waves. So I sat pretty far away from the shoulder. And I just took some video,
With your GoPro?
With my GoPro, yeah.
Yeah.
But I was super stoked at the end of the session looking at my clips because it's like, I did this, like I went to Wedge. Oh, here's a wave. It definitely took me a couple years to like really progress in my photography because I started off with just the GoPro. And then from there, I actually got this thing called the Axis Go, made by Aquatech.
Shout out Aquatech.
Shout out Aquatech. It's basically you put your phone in a little housing so that it doesn't get wet. So I was shooting pictures with my iPhone for probably a year.
So this one was actually at the Wedge. This was like my second ever like big swell. I guess you would call it a big swell that I like went and shot in. And this was actually taken with my iPhone. This was back when I had the Axis Go.
Shout out to
I was
Axis
talking about.
Go. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was an iPhone shot that I took, and I remember that was like the wave of the day that came in. He caught it from the side wave, and then it connected all the way over to that peak at Wedge, and I was just like
bodyboarder.
Yeah, I was just like stoked out of my mind watching it come in, and I just remember like on the way home, I was just like looking through my phone, like, where is this photo? Where is this photo? And yeah, I would say that was like the first photo I was like genuinely really stoked on. And I was like, all right, this is like a real wave now. Like,
Yeah. And how many years after you started did you get that feeling?
Honestly, if I'm gonna be honest, the first time I ever shot in the water, that was probably the most stoked I've ever been. If not, like my trip to Chopu, that was probably one of the most stoked times I've ever been, but like that was comparable to my first time ever in the water.
Yeah.
Just because of how new everything was and how like happy I was just to be like in a little 1 foot barrel. Like that first feeling of starting is kind of like unmatched. It kind of like goes down from there. You still have the stoke, but the initial feeling of like learning about the ocean and like getting that initial feeling is unmatched for sure. That's why we keep trying to chase these like moments, like you see an insane wave come and you get like the shot of your life, but there's always that next shot of your life.
And that's the thing I think that really helped me, is that I used what I have, because a lot of times in surf photography, I know so many people that have these expensive rigs and everything, but it's more about how you use it rather than the actual rig. Here's a wave. Got it. I think for me it really helped to really master what I had at hand, because when you get these really expensive setups and rigs and you may not know how to use it, there's no point. So I think from there, it was a really good like middle bridge to getting an actual camera and an actual housing.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the times, a lot of people don't really get into photography in the water as much because they're like, oh, it's so expensive. I need this really expensive housing and camera and everything. But all you really need is a GoPro or even your phone. I've seen people go out with like plastic bags and their phone inside.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's innovative.
But
That's hilarious.
you can get a GoPro online for $150. And the GoPro is definitely the first camera I would get for anyone out there who's starting. Get a GoPro.
Even like, look at this. We've both been shooting housing for years,
Yeah,
and we're shooting on GoPros right now.
they're really fun. They're light, and I would recommend that as a first camera. That's what really helped me.
For sure.
But yeah, That's like my main thing, is that I don't think people should complain about what their setup is or not shoot because they don't have good enough gear. I think they really need to master the camera they have, and then, you know, move forward. That's what I did.
Yeah.
After having my Axis Go, I think I shot with that for like a year.
Really?
In like 2016 to 2017, I shot for that for like a year. And then from there, I'm like, I need to get a housing now. Like, these phone pics are cool, but they're not high quality. And so I bought the A6000.
Sony
A6000. Best startup surf photography camera for sure. It's only $400 now.
The camera?
Yeah. Wow. $400 without a lens. And it does 24 megapixels, like I think 10 or 12 frames per second. It's a really good startup camera. And I went to that camera, and I actually still have that camera now. All my photos are with the Sony A6000.
Yeah.
So that's the part where it's like, I think it's really how well you use your tools rather than the camera you have. Because when I first started out, my photos were like really bad with the A6000. Like, same with editing, it wasn't as good. But I'm still using that camera today, and in my eyes, my progression is like insane to what it was in 2016.
Yeah.
In 2017, I decided to get a housing. I actually just posted something on my Instagram story. I'm like, is anyone selling a housing? Because I wanted to get a used one, because new ones are like $1,000.
Yeah.
And I was still in high school, still broke. And somehow I like got this heck of a deal, $400 for a brand new, or not brand new, but like pretty good SPL water housing. Those usually range from $1,000 to like $1,200. But it was this guy in San Clemente. I just met up with him, never had met him. We met by the pier and we exchanged the housing. And that's all she wrote.
That's all she wrote. When you got that housing, how did that like change the dynamic of how you look at water photography? Like, what did that enable you to do that you couldn't do with the tools that you had before?
Once I got the housing, I could start doing more artistic shots. With the GoPro, you only get that, you know, kind of wide angle. With the housing, you can use different lenses. I had like a 50mm lens, and then a 24. And what that does is it creates different perspectives in the water. You can zoom in closer to the action and, you know, get those shots with the foreground and background blurred. It's more of like an artistic thing. But shooting with a camera and a housing really upped my quality, because the iPhone did 12 megapixels and then my camera did 24.
Yeah.
So that's like, for all you non-video photo people, that's like double the quality you're getting.
Swimming around with my camera this day was definitely unforgettable. Here's one of the waves that will be burned into my memory. Can you talk about this wave that is burned into your memory?
It definitely is burned into my memory.
And this is over a year later also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
almost
was
a year later.
2019. Yeah, this was in the fall. This day was like picture perfect.
Wedge?
Yeah, Wedge. I think, yeah, this is right before school. In high school, I had like, senior year, I set up my classes to where it was like late start. So I didn't have to come in on certain days till like 10. And this was at like 8:30 or 9. And it just turned like straight offshore, blue, and it was so glassy. This is Blair Conklin. This was actually like the first photo I got. I think, yeah, this was the first photo I got of him. He's like a professional skimboarder, one of the best for sure. But he was actually surfing in this photo. And yeah, he like pulled in the barrel and this like little backwash wave came, and it just opened up the whole face of the wave. And I was sitting there. This was a 50mm. And I was just looking through my viewfinder like so stoked.
So stoked in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best feeling. I had that recently with a shot I did skiing, where I was in the air filming with a GoPro, and I knew while I was getting the shot, I'm like, I nailed it.
Yeah.
It's the best feeling ever when
That's
you're
the
like,
best.
let's go. You don't
And
even need to look at it. You're just like, that was
Dude,
so good.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like a double reward because in the moment you're so stoked, and then you get to go home and edit it and look
Yeah.
at it, and then you're stoked
And then
again.
it's even better with
Yeah.
the edit.
It is.
That's kick-ass. Seek, dude. All right, moving on again. Late morning
This
magic.
one.
Late morning.
Late morning, same day.
Interesting.
This was like, I have so many of these pictures. The same like little, I think it was like a 2-hour window. It was just perfect. But this one, same day, Wedge. This bodyboarder just dropped in on a beautiful bomb blue gem.
The glass is nuts.
And yeah, I just like the way that the water was super glassy and blue. For some reason, around like the fall, Wedge, I feel like the water gets blue. Like in the spring and summer, it's always like green, I feel like, or like darker color. And then in the fall, for some reason, it just, I don't know if it's the way the sun is lined up or what it is, but it has like more of a blue tint, I feel like.
I think, well, that kind of corresponds to what you said earlier, which was you talked about how your favorite time to shoot Wedge is in October. And I feel like because that's the best time for photography. Because you're getting a little of the late season, like the water clarity gets better.
Yeah.
But and then it still has size, and it's just offshore versus like 4th of July last year, which is just like 20 foot, but it's just brown water and just gnarly. It does, and then, like the light isn't as great and whatnot. So when did you use? Here we go. More waves. What are you thinking right now? What's the strategy? How can you tell?
Well, basically, what you're looking for is a line on the horizon. Obviously, a wave coming in. And that last one was actually too big because what happens is there's like sandbars on the bottom of the ocean, and when the wave breaks, it depends on the sandbar how heavy it like slabs over. And that one was too big, so it didn't like hit the sandbar and heave over as far. Kind of like crumbled. So you're looking for that big line out the back, and just that buildup of the wave before it just like slabs over.
So you got that camera, you got that housing from the water housing from the guy on the pier.
Yeah.
And so that enabled you to use, like you talked about, different lenses and make more artistic choices.
Yeah.
But as far as, like, I guess initially, how did you like use 24 millimeter versus 50 within the water specifically? So I think like obviously one lens is wider than the other, but when do you use certain like lens types at that point? I guess because it obviously progressed, being like, okay, well now I use this 50 millimeter and then this wave type and whatnot. So how do you identify when you want to use those?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, it all depends on the conditions when you show up to the beach. Usually what happens is if it's really walled and...
What's walled mean?
Walled. That means it's the whole... You look across the beach and the whole wave just collapses at once. It just barrels fast all at once. If it's really walled, I like to shoot wide because it's all happening at once. And you really, really need to be just right in the pocket.
What's the pocket?
The pocket.
Sorry, I'm just clarifying everything. Because I want people to understand.
There's a lot of wave terminology. So yeah, the pocket is right where the wave curls over you, and you're inside of the actual barrel. That's like the pocket of the wave. So on those days where it's just barreling all at once, you want a wider angle lens because you need to be in the zone. You need to be in the action. When it's more peaky, meaning more, the wave is more wedgy. Like it's more, I don't know how to describe it.
When you describe the terminology with more terminology.
Yeah.
We got another wave coming in.
sick. Yeah, when it's more peaky and usually bigger, I like to shoot with a longer lens, like 50 millimeter. At Wedge, when it's really big, my go-to is 50 mil because it really allows you to zoom into that action without being as close. Most of my shots on really big days are like with a 50 millimeter. And also, it's less dangerous, I would say, for people starting out because you're farther away from the action, but you're still zooming in with your camera and you're still getting the shot.
The action being not getting killed by the wave.
Yeah.
Like, especially, yeah, like it's when it's big, like you said.
But, yeah, starting out, I would usually shoot with my wider angle lenses because it's a lot easier. All you have to do is click to shoot and there's the photo. With a longer lens, like the 50 millimeter or other ones, you actually have to look through the viewfinder and you have to—
While you're in the water?
While you're in the water, while you're trying to not get hit by a wave and frame your shot, and make sure it's in focus, all that type of stuff. But it definitely takes more expertise, more practice to shoot with longer lenses because you're having to frame that shot all while being in the water.
You got another wave out the back. That was so sick. One thing I think that's super important in shooting water, honestly, more than anything else, literally almost anything else, is situational awareness and multitasking.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about those things?
Yeah, in the water, you always want to be aware. Being a water photographer, you need to multitask really, really well because you're trying to take a photo, you're trying to frame everything, all while moving around in the water, all while there's waves. Literally, I mean, literally what we're doing right now. Like, situational awareness. That's the most important thing because you don't want to get hurt when you're taking photos.
Because it's just photos.
Yeah. Being aware of your surroundings, never taking your eye off the horizon, I'd say, is a really good one, especially for people beginning. You always want to make sure you're looking at where the waves generally break, where they are. Because you could take your eye off for a split second and then not be paying attention, and the next thing you know, there's a wave coming on your head.
Yeah.
So you really want to be aware of your surroundings and what's happening. And then aside from the waves, people, like, you're going to be out in the water with other surfers, other people shooting, and it's going to hurt if you collide with them. So the main thing for people starting out is that you want to respect the surfer and be close enough to get your shot, but not to the point to where you're going to hit them with a camera.
Yeah.
Because that's not only going to hurt you, but it's going to hurt the surfer and mess up their wave.
Have you done that before?
I've hit boards before with my camera, but I've never actually hit a surfer or like made him fall. I always try to get, like, it depends on what I'm shooting with, but I'm trying to get as close to them as possible without hitting them. So a lot of the times I have to duck under last second to like avoid them colliding with me. But usually it's all good. I make it up without scratches. I've never gotten hit by a surfer shooting, which I know a lot of photographers have, but that's never happened to me. Oh. Yeah, when it's big, you definitely have to be careful of what you're doing, and it's always a toss-up. There's been many times where I've like not taken the photo or like tossed my camera to the side and like ducked under because I don't want to get hit by the wave. It's always more important to to be safe than it is to get the shot.
No. Now you gotta send it for the shot.
Yeah, especially starting out, it was really hard because a lot of the times when I was looking through the viewfinder, I would have the wave actually come like hit me on the head.
Wow.
Because it's really hard to look through the viewfinder and also position yourself to where you're not going to get hit by the wave. It's kind of just a thing that comes with time, knowing where to be and where to line yourself up with the waves. Even today, like we've got caught inside a couple times. We've been too far out. It's really just like over time building your awareness to this is where I need to be in order to get the shot, or this is where I need to be in order to duck under and not get hurt by the wave.
All right, here we got, who's that surfer?
J.O.B.
Who's that guy?
Jamie O'Brien. This is a pro surfer, Jamie O'Brien. He's like one of the most well-known surfers, I'd say, on the North Shore and just in general. This was on my trip to the North Shore back in...
Stormy Pipeline.
Yeah, back
cool.
2 winters ago. But this photo was just special because it was my first swim out at Pipeline, a wave I had always wanted to go shoot. And it was a scary swim because I didn't know what I was doing and there was no other photographers. So I was just like,
combo.
I'm just gonna swim out. I made it here, I need to go out. And so I did get a couple sick ones and I got a really cool one of Jamie, which was dope.
How big was it?
It was probably like 6 to 8, I'd say.
California size.
Yeah, it wasn't second reefing.
2 foot Hawaiian.
Yeah, it was definitely smaller. It wasn't second reefing or any of that, but it was just the fact that everything was so new and the water current was all crazy.
Pipe's another animal.
It really is.
Yeah. 99% of the time I would be in the water if I saw a wave like this come through. This day, however, I had a class in 30 minutes, so all I could do was snap a few from shore.
Yeah. This was back, when was this? I posted, oh yeah, I posted this in the summer, but this was during the school year. This was in the fall. I remember I had shot for a couple hours in the morning and I didn't have like a watch or anything. So I got out of the water thinking it was like, I was like, oh, I got to run to school, like it's close. And then I ended up having like 30 minutes left and I'm like, might as well just take some photos from the shore. So it was still firing and I got some really cool land shots, but most of the waves on my page, like 95% of them are in the water. Because if it's good, I want to be in there, you know?
Yeah.
I very, very rarely, unless I'm hurt or something, just shoot on land.
Why do you like being in the water versus shooting on land?
I like water because it's so much more interactive and you can get such unique angles. Like a lot of times at Wedge, there's like 50 photographers on the shore on a big swell, like tons of people, and they all kind of get similar angles. And in the water, everyone has a different angle because depending where you are on the wave, it can change the way it looks drastically. What lens you have, how close, how far you are. And that versatility is really, really interesting to me.
True. What, do you think that water photography is in a weird way like not a sport, but you have to be athletic, you know?
Oh yeah, you have to be in shape for sure.
Yeah.
You have to...
Which I didn't realize when I got into it, and then I got into it and I was like, oh, this is like, you have to be dialed to do this.
Yeah, you do. You can't
it's not like filming from like
can't just go out there.
Yeah. With a 200 mil from the beach and you're just panning back and forth. You're like in the shit.
Oh yeah, because if you're not like fit enough to swim or you're getting too tired, like you can drown easier, you can not be fast enough to go under the wave. Yeah, you definitely have to be like in good shape and healthy to be a good photographer in the water.
Have you ever been around when someone's gotten like seriously injured, or like have you seen anything happen like that?
I actually had to save a kid one time at Wedge.
Really?
It was like a little 8-year-old Grom and it was super heavy. It was like 4 foot, 5 foot, but just straight like death
Death Barrels?
It was at Cylinders.
Okay.
And he went on one and took off and just went straight over the falls. And he like landed on his head or something. And when he got up, he was like, "Oh, help, I can't move." And I was like, holy. And like, there was only one other person, but they were kind of farther away. And it was early in the morning, so no lifeguards. And so I just had to like help him up to the beach and carry him out. But he ended up being okay. He went to like the, what's it called? Or yeah, the like paramedic people came or whatever. But he didn't like break anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty fortunate.
Yeah.
I've had to pull someone out at Cylinders one time, and funny enough, he was on this podcast because, so Tyler Large is this guy who owns OC Ramps.
Oh, okay.
Is the guy who owns OC Ramps, and I met him because he blew his like whole knee out at Cylinders when I pulled him out, and then a year later I hit him up and I was like, hey, we should do a podcast, and he was like totally down.
That's
so shout out to him, Tyler. But yeah, it's pretty scary, and people get hurt and die and they get slammed into the jetty, so it's definitely, Wedge is no joke.
Every swell that happens, Wedge is the first spot I'm looking at to go to.
You gotta wave, dude. This is gonna be sick. Oh, we got a sick lineup. Little triple action.
Wedge. Yeah, every swell that happens, I'm always looking at Wedge, seeing if the conditions are right, the tide, the wind, forecast. This is the main spot I want to be when it's big, when there's waves, you know.
Why is that? What makes Wedge different than the rest?
Yeah.
What's the magic?
The magic of Wedge, I would say the main thing is the way the wave just breaks generally. When there's south swell in the water, generally Wedge is going to be the biggest spot on the California coast because it attracts so much swell, and when it breaks, it's almost double the height of any other wave because you're getting the side wave, which comes into the regular wave, and it kind of like spikes it up. I'm always looking for the biggest waves to shoot when there's a swell. So that's why I come to Wedge.
Are the biggest waves the best waves at Wedge?
It depends. It's kind of a toss-up because sometimes Wedge will be too big.
Too big?
Yeah, like
there's too big at Wedge.
There is, because when it's too big and like the conditions aren't right, it won't have that good barreling shape. Sometimes you want it to be a little smaller so that it'll hit that sandbar and then it'll barrel more the way that you want it to look for photos. There's a lot of talent here at the Wedge. There's also a lot of random people that are really bad and endanger other people, but there is a lot of talent, I would say. Yeah. When there's a big swell, you're gonna get a lot of the best guys in our local area to come and surf here.
My good friend Aaron, who I've been shooting at the Wedge for a couple years now, we never really linked up on any bombs. Actually, no, we did. He was the kid on the bodyboard. So we linked up on a couple before, but this wave was actually like the only good wave of the session, literally. When I got in, it looked pretty sick, and then I got out there, and there was like barely any waves for like an hour.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm just gonna get one more and stay out there because there could be a sick one. It was getting close to sunset too. And then this one just rolled through. He was right in the spot, so was I. And yeah, I was super stoked on it. And then this one also, this was like my first post I got featured by Surfline.
Yeah.
So I was really, really stoked on that. It was always like my goal to get featured by them. And yeah.
What have you been featured on now? Like which magazines and stuff like that?
I haven't been in any magazines. I really want to get printed, like actual print magazines. But I've gotten like a couple things on Surfline and like the Inertia. a bunch of other like Instagram accounts, ESPN. I got on ESPN.
Really?
Yeah, for when I went to Chopu, like some of those the boat clips. I posted them on TikTok, and then they like blew up, and ESPN asked to repost it, and so they posted that.
No way. Did they pay you?
I had to bug them a ton, but I ended up getting like $80 for it. But
Wow.
they gave me I got a bunch of followers off of it, and more exposure for sure. But a lot of those, especially if they're just posting it to social media, like a lot of people don't really pay for content. Especially surf photography. It's such a hard thing if you would want to make a career out of it, because it's such a small circle of people who make money off of it. There's
Like
just
literally like
there's
20
barely
people
any money in it. Like
in the world, probably.
there's only one head surf photographer for Surfline. I think it's Ryan Chach Files. But I remember Charlie telling me he talked to him when he was in Tahiti, and he's like, it's basically freelance photography with a little bit of money, because like they stopped even paying for the trips. Like he had to pay out of pocket for all the trips and stuff. But it's just a really hard thing to make money out of, for sure. But I mean, I'm doing it more for the passion, for sure. But making money on the side, it's good, you know?
Money keeps you going.
It does.
Yeah.
It really does.
So you can keep doing the passion. Oh,
This one-
my gosh, dude. I remember seeing that.
This is and was my 100% favorite shot of all time I've ever gotten. The best shot I've ever gotten in my mind.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's one of the best surf photos I've seen, for sure.
This one got posted by Surfline too. And then they also did like a full article about it.
Fancy.
Which was really cool. This was like I would say the photo that kind of like
It's your opus.
put me out there or whatever. But yeah, this past year I've gotten a lot of more exposure from like getting reposted and all that, and I feel like I've definitely stepped on my game. But yeah, this photo really was really special to me, because I was the only one who got it. Nobody else was in the water shooting. And yeah, I just remember this was like the second wave I saw when I swam out. I saw a set coming. Like when you're at Wedge, you can see lines like way off the jetty. And so I saw like a couple fat lines. I'm like, oh, I need to hurry and get in. And so I got in.
Get in where?
Get in the water.
Okay.
And so I got in the water. And then one of these waves came through. It was a bit smaller than this, but actually really good too. And no one got it. And then this wave came through, and Tommy Cantrell, which is the guy that was on the wave, he came in from the side wave. And then as the peak threw over, he kept going. I thought he wasn't gonna go, because a lot of times people pull out of the wave because it's just gonna close out.
Yeah.
But if you look from land, he's literally so deep, like, I don't know why he kept going. This angle makes it look like he's kind of in there, which he is, but he's literally, as you can see, he's like backdooring the peak.
Insane. And now we've gotten to Chopu.
We're down to Chopes.
All right, Chopes. Give me a 15-word summary of what Chopu is. Good luck.
Chopu is the best wave for photographing in the world, and I'm glad I went.
There you go. So why is it the best? What makes it the best?
Well, first, the watercolor is just pristine blue, and the clarity is like the best I've ever seen. Better than Hawaii for sure. It's like 60, 70 plus. And then feet of just visibility you can see. And then the wave itself breaks on a reef, and meaning that the bottom's consistent. So the waves are really consistent every time. On a good swell, at least, it's like a perfect open barrel, and it doesn't really change too often. So with that being said, you can kind of like position yourself in that critical spot without risking. I mean, it is still dangerous, but you kind of know where you are because of that like channel.
Yeah. The channel is like the safe place where you're not
yeah,
gonna get wrecked.
and it's just such a heavy wave that it's really good for shooting and for photographing.
So you said the clarity is really good. Did you ever shoot underwater, like through the back of the wave?
Yeah, I did a little. I did a lot of video.
I've always wanted to do that.
I did a couple photos from behind the barrel, but it was definitely so trippy in person, just seeing the surfers like continue through the wave. And even I got a couple videos of like it spitting behind the barrel, but like spitting out, but you could see what was happening.
Spitting out the water from the barrel.
Yeah, but I didn't have goggles on, so I saw it, but not as clear. But then when I got to my computer and looked at it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is insane.
Unreal, yeah.
Yeah.
So in my mind, when I first started shooting a couple years ago, I showed up to Wedge with like a mask on. Like goggles and a mask, which is a big kook move. And my buddy Charlie's like, take that off right now. I'm like, I want to see. He's like, take it off.
Yeah.
Because you'd think that like for shooting photos that you'd want to be able to see underwater, but at least at Wedge, there are very few days where you can like really see through with like a camera.
For sure.
Oh,
Chopu again.
She's a beaut.
The
white leading line.
I think these last couple are Chopu.
So sick.
But this was the first day, or second day I got the Chopu. The next morning, this was like the big glassy swell that came in. And this was one of the waves of the morning for sure. This guy...
currently dreaming, except my eyes are open.
I really was.
I love that.
I posted this the second day, and I'm just like, did this really happen? Like, it looked like those YouTube videos everyone watches.
Yeah, but you were there.
Yeah. The guy on it, Haumana, that means tiger shark in...
That's his name?
Yeah, Haumana.
Oh, that's kick-ass.
But he actually dropped in on another guy and burned him
he's tiger
on this
shark,
wave.
dude.
Yeah. But he didn't end up making this, but I really like this frame with like the clouds in the background and just a big open blue barrel.
It's crazy, the clouds in the background like mix with the
lip of
the wave. Like that's the water, and is that a cloud?
Yeah, that's a cloud. That's the like line.
Nuts.
Those are clouds.
Whoa.
And then just
yeah,
the
that's
mist.
incredible. So sick. One of our buddies, or one of James' buddies, I've met a couple times, Jeremy. He said, I really wish I could be mad at you for scoring this hard, but I'm so stoked that you guys are scoring this hard. Love that. Okay, this is I feel like that's the classic Chopes shot.
Yeah. This
Chopes.
This was, I would say, my favorite photo of the trip. This was deeper into the trip, like a little more than halfway through. This was the second swell that we got. And this was in the afternoon, and that like golden hour, about an hour before sunset. And the swell was really west, meaning it was super heavy. Like the end sections of the waves were just getting really, really square. And this guy, Emio, he's one of the local chargers there.
Emio.
He just dropped in and like just standing as tall as he could.
Would you ever want to like get good enough at surfing so you could do that?
Dude, I mean, I think anyone would.
Like stand up barrel?
But at the same time, like, I don't know if I want to risk the risk that it takes to surf this wave.
Yeah.
Because I like surfing, but it comes to a point to where like you can get in some serious injury when you're surfing bigger waves.
And also, I feel like it's hard to understand because, I mean, in my mind too, I'm like, I just want in my life a stand-up barrel.
Same, bro.
Where you're just looking, honestly, backside would be nuts.
Yeah.
Where you're not even pumping, you're just standing and like watching.
Just like that one.
But you need like at that level is so punishing.
It is.
That's like basically 8-10 foot. That's probably 10 foot.
Yeah,
if not bigger, and just so heavy. Yeah, but, incredible. It's crazy to think about the thousands of dollars, COVID tests, flights, and boat rides it took to be in this moment. All of it becomes worth it though when waves like this come through. I've taken some of my best images to date these past few weeks, and I can't wait to slowly share them with everyone. You're so genuine. You're a genuine dude.
Man. I try to make my comments good, you know, kind of like a little story with the photo.
It's not just like emoji, water.
I mean, some of mine are
water,
like that, but you know,
power. But it's cool to see you progressing, dude, and like
thanks, man. Yeah.
Working on yo shit. So what do you wanna do? Like, what's your goal with all of this shenanigans? Do you have one? Is it ride the wave and just see where it takes you?
Honestly,
or what's the idea?
Over the years I've just kept progressing more and more, and I kind of want to just keep seeing how much I can progress. I've met so many people through like photography, like you.
Hell yeah.
And I feel like definitely this past year for sure I've progressed a lot. I've been getting a lot more like recognition from all the different surf outlets, but I don't really have a main goal because I'm kind of just doing it out of my passion for photography. I guess just keep on shooting, doing what I love with it, and see where it takes me, you know. You never know, one thing leads to another, and yeah, we'll just see what happens.
You get 2.5 million views on TikTok.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, true. Well, thank you for coming on, dude.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your time and sharing your story. And thank you all for watching. Where can people check out your stuff? What's the James Ferrell fan page?
James Ferrell. Well, I got Instagram.
The Farrell fan page.
Most of my photos are going to be on Instagram. Just my name, James Ferrell.
Okay.
And then _. That's where I post all my photos. If you want to watch my TikTok videos, it's just a bunch of waves, little random iPhone clips. Just type in surf talk and that's me. But yeah, that's about it.
That's sick. Can people buy your prints?
I don't really have like a main website that I sell them on, but a lot of people hit me up to buy shots that I've posted on my Instagram. So if you want to buy a shot, you can just send me the one that I posted or message me, you know, whatever shot that you want, and we can make it happen.
Dope.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Thanks y'all for watching the Barrel Farrell, and have a good freaking blast of a day.
Yeah.
Peace out.